It was a regular day in the pharmacy when Clint Eastwood casually walked in to grab a few items. In front of him, there was an elderly woman, clearly struggling to pay for her prescription. She nervously counted the coins from her purse, trying to make enough to cover the cost. The young cashier, Jason, behind the counter was visibly annoyed. "Are you serious? Can't you just pay with a card like everyone else?" he muttered under his breath, but loud enough for the woman to hear. The elderly woman's hands trembled as she continued to count, trying to gather the change. "I'm sorry, I don't have a card. I just need my medicine, please," she said quietly, her voice shaking. Clint watched from the side, a small frown appearing on his face. He could see how uncomfortable the woman was, and he could feel the impatience radiating from Jason. Without hesitation, Clint walked up to the counter. "Is there a problem here?" he asked calmly but firmly. Jason froze. His eyes widened as he recognized Clint Eastwood standing right there. No problem, Mr. Eastwood. It's just, she's taking a while, that's all," Jason stammered. Clint glanced at the elderly woman, who was still struggling to pay. Then, turning his attention to Jason, he said, "It's not about how fast she's paying. It's about treating people with respect." Clint reached into his wallet, pulling out more than enough money to cover the woman's prescription. He handed it to the cashier, making sure the woman could get what she needed. She looked up at Clint, her eyes welling up with tears. "Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that," she said. Clint smiled gently, shaking his head. "Of course, you can. No one should feel embarrassed about paying for medicine." The cashier stood there, completely speechless as Clint addressed him one last time. "And you, young man, should remember that people are more important than impatience. Show respect." As Clint walked out of the pharmacy, the elderly woman stood in stunned silence. Jason, however, felt the weight of Clint's words heavy on his shoulders. Where are you watching this from? Let us know in the comments below, The elderly woman, still holding her prescription, stood frozen for a few moments. She couldn't believe what had just happened. Clint Eastwood, the man she had watched in movies all her life, had just stepped in to help her. She had never expected someone like him to even notice her, let alone take the time to offer assistance. I can't believe he did that," she murmured to herself, barely able to comprehend the kindness. The young cashier, Jason, who had just moments ago been rude to her, now seemed completely different. His face was flushed with embarrassment, and his eyes darted toward the ground. "I'm so sorry," Jason said, his voice filled with regret as he stepped forward. "I shouldn't have spoken to you like that. I was completely out of line." The elderly woman looked at him, her expression softening. She nodded slowly, still unsure of what to say. "Thank you for apologizing," she replied quietly. "I never expected that." Jason continued to apologize, his voice now full of sincerity. "I promise, this won't happen again. I'll treat everyone with the respect they deserve." The woman didn't know how to respond, but she was grateful for the change in tone. For the first time that day, she felt like people cared. She smiled weakly, accepting his apology. Jason, though, was left thinking about Clint's words. He had just been schooled by the man himself, and he wasn't going to forget that lesson anytime soon. Do you think Clint did the right thing? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, The story of Clint Eastwood's act of kindness quickly spread throughout the community. News outlets began covering the incident, praising Clint for stepping in and showing empathy. The elderly woman, now identified as Dorothy, became a symbol of kindness and humility. She received calls from people who had heard the story, offering their support. Some even offered to pay for her future prescriptions, but Dorothy politely declined. "I don't need any more help. I just needed that one moment of kindness," she said. Dorothy wasn't interested in becoming a local hero. She was just grateful for what Clint had done. Jason, on the other hand, had become the subject of discussion as well. People started talking about how his rude behavior had been changed by Clint's intervention. He began to realize that the way he treated others, especially those who didn't have much, was wrong. As the days passed, Jason made a conscious effort to be kinder and more patient with everyone he encountered. It wasn't easy, but he knew it was the right thing to do. He wasn't going to forget what Clint had taught him. As time went on, Dorothy found herself overwhelmed by the attention. People sent her cards, flowers, and even money, though she declined most of it. All she wanted was to be left in peace, but the kindness kept coming. Jason, meanwhile, felt compelled to do more than just apologize. He had been inspired by Clint's actions, and he started volunteering at a local shelter, helping those in need. One day, while he was there, his phone rang. He was stunned when he saw the caller ID. Clint Eastwood was calling him. "Hey, Jason," Clint said with a warm voice. "I just wanted to check in and make sure you're doing okay. I heard you've been working on being a better person." "That's good." Jason was speechless for a moment. "Mr. Eastwood. I can't believe you're calling me. I'm so sorry for how I treated that woman. I've been trying to do better, but it's still a work in progress." Clint chuckled lightly. "That's all anyone can ask for, son. Just keep trying every day to be a little better. You're on the right path." Jason felt a sense of pride and gratitude. Clint's call wasn't just about forgiveness, it was about giving him the encouragement he needed to keep going. What did you think of Clint's call to Jason? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Months later, Dorothy was living a much more comfortable life. She had received the help she needed, not just from Clint, but from the people in her community who were inspired by his kindness. She continued to take care of her health and was no longer burdened by financial worries. Jason, too, had transformed. He was still working at the pharmacy, but he had become a different person, patient, kind, and understanding. The whole experience had made him realize that his actions had consequences, and now he wanted to make sure they were positive ones. As for Clint Eastwood, his act of kindness continued to inspire people. It wasn't about the money or the fame, it was about making the world a little bit better, one person at a time. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories like this, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.